Welcome to the Business Legends Podcast, where we interview business leaders and entrepreneurs so that you can learn from their mistakes, grow your own inspiration, and pump up your bottom line. My name's Reece, the host of the show, and Christian didn't join me today. He's actually out for feeling not too well, but he's just a big old baby. I'm sure that he'll be fine tomorrow. Don't forget that we're accompanied by the greatest videographer on the face of the earth, Mr. David Woodruff with Genesis Film. He's not on a mic right now, but he's here behind us, and when you see us on video, you will know who did it. Today, I have a very special guest, somebody that I am proud to have been able to call a friend now for a couple years. Miss Heather Watkins, owner of Waxing the City in Huntersville. Heather, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We are off to a fantastic start. We've had our coffee. You know, not only, by the way, are you like the hardest working mom that I know in the world, but you're also the most energetic of all. So I may have fed you a little bit too much caffeine before this, but we're definitely off to a fun conversation. So let's dig into it. You've had quite some crazy ups and downs and swings and lefts and rights with your career, but how did you land on Waxing the City of all things?
So I was working for Anytime Fitness, that franchise, managing a gym up in Huntersville. And I went to the Anytime Fitness conference in Louisville, Kentucky in 2018, that September. And when I got there, we were surrounded with, thousands of Anytime franchisees. It was just high energy. I'm like, this is my deal. This is where I fit in. This is my jam. And when we were there, I noticed another third of the people were dressed in orange and white. And I saw another company in their logo, and it was called Waxing the City. So I didn't pay much attention, but I was kind of intrigued, why is Waxing the City with Anytime Fitness? And I should have done my research. Waxing the City brand is actually owned by Self-Esteem Brands, which owns Anytime Fitness and Waxing the City, and two other concepts. So we were there for 4 nights, and it was, classes and learning, going
all
to,
about these things.
Yes, all about this and fitness and how to grow your bottom line, and different sessions for 4 days, and then a lot of fun weaved into.
Yeah.
They really, Anytime can put on an amazing conference. So I'm obviously a real people person, and I was really intrigued with this other brand that was there. So while we were there, I would walk up to people and say, tell me about this waxing franchise.
Yeah.
I come from a franchise marketing background, so I like franchising because I think there's a lot of real motivated people out there who have an entrepreneur spirit, but who need a system.
Sure.
So I think there's a great, I love franchise marketing. I worked in it for a long time. I love franchising. I love the entrepreneurial spirit. People work hard. So I just was asking people, tell me about this waxing business. Is this legit?
Do you think that people are attracted to franchises not only because of the structure, but also the franchise's resources? Like whether it's marketing or... structure is one thing, but take a brand like Anytime Fitness. Right. Most people that are listening to this podcast are going to immediately know what that brand is, type of thing. Right. So do you think that was a huge draw point for you as well?
Huge draw point. Yeah. It is. I have seen people open their, Susie's smoothie shop or, Joe's running shorts. It is very hard to compete against brands with a lot of money.
Exactly. You didn't open Heather's Super Waxing Shop or something like that.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
And so along with the brand identity comes the marketing dollars and comes the people want consistency. Exposure. They want to walk in. My first job was Subway.
Yeah. Okay.
So now I will tell you at 16, that was my first job. Yeah. And I was like, I made those sandwiches fast, right? And that was a friend.
You were actually a sandwich artist. You were not a...
We didn't call it that back then, but actually that's on my resume as my first job.
Okay.
That's actually when I became a vegan.
Okay.
That was a huge stepping stone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I bet there was some wild things that you saw there.
Yeah, I just was like, I just don't think I want to do this.
It seems like you're a firm believer in franchises.
I am, and just again, when you take someone who's highly motivated and then you can plug them into a system, and they can follow the steps of the system, they can be very successful.
It's like following a checklist instead of making a checklist to follow.
Right. It takes a lot of the guesswork out. So again, the success of Anytime, the top leader in global franchise history and fitness, and then I found out Waxing the City was underneath their umbrella. So during this conference, I spoke to people, and they said, this is like the coolest business. Yeah. And I said, what's so amazing about it? Because the franchisees not only felt happy, but there was a lot of management and serologist staff there. Yeah. And I would say, do you like working for? And they're like, it is awesome. It's so fun. We have an amazing culture. We elevate the girls in the back to be, they create the business. They have the relationship with the client. Yeah. So I love the fact that the culture was really different.
Did you have any I would say, predilection towards waxing at all before that, or was it just culture that attracted you?
It was the culture. I was like waxing my eyebrows at home.
Yeah,
like I have waxing.
That was your whole exposure.
Yeah, I was like, well, I do this at home, and I remember the one time the wax dripped down my eyelash, and I almost ripped my entire, all my eyelashes out. So no, I have not been like, oh, I'm a lifetime waxer.
You're gonna need to give me a minute on that. Hold on. Okay. All right. Good.
And then I tried to wax my own son's eyebrows, and I got one done, and he wouldn't let me do the other. So, I had nothing.
Nothing.
I'm not
no experience with it whatsoever.
I did work in the spa industry back years ago. So, but I loved the culture. I loved that the franchisees were happy, and the workers and the management there with their owners were happy.
Yeah. And let me touch on that. So, I mean, let's just call things what they are. When you're waxing people, you're ripping hair out of them by the follicle. By the follicle,
deep pull,
right?
Reece.
Deep pull by the follicle.
Right.
So, I mean, what is it about your franchise particularly that how are people happy when they come in and when they leave? How do people look forward to something where essentially they're coming in, the procedure itself is pain, they get a fantastic effect. They look fantastic after the fact,
right?
But the procedure itself is painful. Right. So what? And I don't want you to be giving me your industry secrets or anything, but but what do you do that how do they come in and leave with a smile on their face type of thing?
So when they come in the door, we really make a point of making them feel very welcome.
Okay.
Right. This is, again, we are providing a service, and what goes on in that room is very private and it's very intimate.
Yeah.
And so when they come in, we try to make them feel relaxed. They fill out their medical form. People will say, "Why am I filling out this form?" Well, we need to ask certain medical questions. So we know if you have allergies or you are taking any medicine that might affect your wax. So they already feel like they're in a doctor's office. So it's kind of
it's very professional.
Right.
Do you ask them anything else before they come in? By the way,
we say sometimes we do.
You gotta tell this story for
so
those
so we have our consent form, which is a long form, and then we have a short form, and of course I created this one, and it asks if they have had signs of COVID or been exposed to it, and then the third question is, did Carol Baskin kill her husband? And that is like the best icebreaker.
I got such a kick out of that when you said that.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
I think I'm going to keep that on the form
should.
until the day I die, because it opens up. It's an icebreaker.
Yeah, or until somebody says no, and that's not going to happen. Because she definitely did for sure. And
I'll say,
I
want to make sure we're on the same page here, and then people will start laughing, and then we, and it builds that kind of rapport.
That might sound really silly, but it's also something that it really establishes what type of environment you're in type of thing. If all they had to fill in was just that medical questionnaire, they might think, oh God, this is a rigid environment. I can't have any fun here or any, that type of thing. But, asking welcoming questions like that, there's a huge level of power in that level of customer service.
Because this is about building rapport. We want our clients to see their serologist every 4 weeks. So it is a relationship. This is not, we're going to make a sandwich and go home. This is, you're going to get to know your girl. We want her to stay here for a long time.
Personal relationships.
Every 4 weeks. So it's very important that people feel welcome, safe, warm.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe we give.
Sure.
People will say, this is just like a really cool place I want to hang out. We're super fanatics about being clean.
Yeah.
We have a very, very well-stocked lobby with tons of retail products and skincare products that we sell because it helps with their service.
Sure.
So, and then our serologists come up. They are the key to our business. I have amazing girls who love what they do. The interview process was amazing because they would sit down and I would ask them about their schooling and education, and they would say, I just love to wax.
Yeah.
And I got such a kick out of that after interviewing 20 girls, and they would say, I just love to wax.
It seems a little masochistic, like a little oh, I just love ripping hair out of people, and I love seeing the grimace of their face when they by the follicle.
Right.
And
it was actually, I think it's very therapeutic. It's instant gratification.
Sure.
So they're like, I love the smell of it. I love how people feel. And I internally laugh all the time. I'm like, we are making this a very fun experience getting people's hair ripped out.
Yeah.
And so I feel like people can feel the vibe in our studio. Our girls all get along like they're good friends. There's no drama. We don't have it, but I don't allow for it, and I don't create that environment.
Sure.
We are there. We're polished. We're professional. They do a great job. They are loaded with praise all the time. People will come out of the room and say, that girl loves working for you.
Yeah.
And that's a huge compliment to me.
That's the best you can get, really.
That's the best I can get. And that's because I hope to create an environment where they feel like this is their specialty, this is their craft. I want them to do what they love to do and feel loved doing it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think unusual as a business owner. They're obviously the bottom line is so important, but if the people providing the service aren't happy,
Yeah.
and they're not wanting to follow your processes, your bottom line isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's all about, especially in any service industry, whether you're working at a restaurant, nail salon, or ripping hair out of people, you have to have a certain level of attention to the customer is what I'll call it. If customers are having a bad day, you don't just want to just be rip or something.
Right.
Maybe you ask them a
Yeah.
couple questions
Yeah.
about what's going on in your personal life type of thing.
And that's one of the things we encourage is we want them to get to know their clients. This isn't just, we are not speed waxers. So a lot of
Speed waxers?
Yeah, that's how other companies are known.
Speed waxer.
They get in, they have 15 or 20 minutes. They're going to wax whatever you want in that time frame. We don't do that. Reece, it's a real problem.
Speed waxer. Oh,
Yes.
I don't know. That just cracked me up. I don't know. It's like, come on, get your wax. There should make like a cartoon out of that or something.
They
but
probably-
Anyway, that's off topic. But
Right. So, but I will tell you, people come in our door and they've sometimes have had that done. And
Sure.
so they are like, I'm really nervous today. I haven't had it done in a while. I had a really traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Like people have had trauma with
Yeah.
waxing. I think
Wow.
like there's once in a while you've had a bad haircut. But when you've had trauma with a waxing experience,
you don't want to do it again.
and then they're coming in and they're giving us that opportunity, I'm like, all right, it's her first time after a long time.
Yeah.
I'm like, Haley's going to take great care of you. And I will say this, Stacey's going to take great care of you. And immediately I feel like,
Yeah.
I feel better. And they do. They take great care of these clients.
Yeah.
And they come out, you would think that we were giving them massages or,
Right.
if Dr. Phil lessons back there. The client and the astrologist actually do really build that rapport.
Yeah, I can only maybe it's because I'm a male. I feel like the industry is very female dominated. I mean that's pretty obvious, but I feel like this waxing process and service is what I'll call it is kind of similar to getting a haircut. Getting a haircut is something that it's not like I particularly love getting my haircut or something like that.
Have to do, right?
It's something that I have to do so that I feel the way that I do.
Right.
Have that confidence or whatever, but. It's just like establishing those relationships, and I can tell you, I mean, the same people have been cutting my hair forever,
And they
and
probably know like all your secrets.
yeah,
Right.
They don't even ask. Like when if I go out of town and somebody asks me like, how do you like your haircut? I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know what the hell y'all use. Like I'm not right. You just do it. Like make it look good. I don't care. Like whatever. So it's very interesting how you develop this certain relationship with them, and it's a very intimate thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in waxing. I mean,
God.
it's
you don't get any more intimate than
no. Like there's
and
nothing like.
I've yet to have someone come out that said I don't like her. I mean, we
That's fantastic.
One of my favorite things I do every day is we have a online portal where every single client every single time is fed a survey with about 20 questions and the opportunity to give us feedback. And this is kind of like how I'm, my heart starts like beating.
Yeah.
I'm
get nervous about it.
opening my site. I'm like, what are people saying about us today? And it's the best part of my day because we have a very, very high score, a 10 out of 10. And probably 2 or 3 people a day fill out the survey and they will write comments and say, I loved coming here. I felt so relaxed. I felt so comfortable. My girl was amazing. She was so sweet. She took good care of me. And we're ripping your hair out.
Right.
So I love that. And I share that feedback on a weekly basis with my girls. They get a text message feedback on Friday. And we celebrate that because I'm like, this is what you're doing. This is how you're building, a career for a passion that you have with helping people. So, it takes a very unique person to want to do that and be that close, intimate with someone.
Definitely.
And it takes a special environment for people to want to thrive in that environment.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about reviews, because thinking about up and coming entrepreneur or somebody that's interested in starting their own business or getting into new business, career shifts or something. So what types of things do you do? I think it's just fantastic and phenomenal that you end up sending those surveys out to everyone, and unlike a survey you might get at like Lowe's Home Improvement or something, I can tell you I've never filled one of those out ever. Like I don't care. Like give me my shit and get out of here. It's basically how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care. But in something that's that intimate, a service like this, you're getting 2 and 3, reviews a day type of thing on this. But what types of things do you do in order to handle those reviews? So not only, the positive ones, I think you've nailed it on the head. You make sure to tell your girl that performed the service, like, hey, this person loved you. Like you did a fantastic job. But in the event, I'm sure that everybody, just the reality of it.
Right.
Everybody gets it. You're dealing with something that can be painful. So there's always something. I'm sure you get like a pain comment or something, but how would you handle something like that in that circumstance?
So I feel like that feedback for anybody in business is so important. You cannot turn a blind eye, and you cannot not make that an important part of your business, because, you know, for the one person who's writing a good review, maybe there's 4 other people who had a great experience. But for the one who's writing a bad review, you don't know if 4 other had a bad. So is it really a true cross-section of what's going on? So I might get one
independent.
Review. Right. I might get a review that says, hey, I felt like my serologist took off a few too many hairs on my eyebrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And so, first of all, I immediately, within 24 hours or probably 12 hours, write back to the client and I say, I am absolutely want to make this right. I'm sorry for either your frustration or your disappointment.
Yep.
You know, we specialize in that area. If, you know, we might have just gotten it wrong this time, I'd like to, you know, I tell my girls, I will have your back. As long as you are being extremely thorough and professional and doing what we expect up front, I will always have your back, and I will fix the issue. I will never put that back on them. I'll say, hey, you might have had a bad day. Maybe this client's expectations were different, but I will handle it as a business owner.
Yep.
Because I don't want to ruin my girl's day. I want to give them the feedback, help them learn from it, but I need to solve that problem with the client.
I think that's such a powerful thing I know that's such a powerful thing that you're doing. And the fact that you're handling that is also such a relief for, I'm sure, your employees, because, you know, if your employees were dealing with both, you know, let's say that, you know, they're doing the waxing and then they're also responsible for reaching out to the people that are unhappy, type of thing. I mean, something like that could ruin their day. I mean, really, because
they need to, you know, when I know they're in their room, they work about 6-hour shifts. I do not work girls longer than that because it is a very intimate service. They're also being kind of a part-time therapist in there. It's physical.
Yep.
And I can tell after 6 hours, they're like, okay, I'm leaving on a real good note and not pushing them over the edge where I'm tired or seeing too many people. So we take everything off of them except for performing that service.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's running late up front, my front desk coordinator knows to call the next client and say, hey, can you give us an extra 10 minutes?
Yep.
My girls know we have your back up front. You just perform an excellent service. We will take care of everything else.
Yeah.
So they have very specific processes they have to follow, which is another reason I love this franchise. They have certain things they have to do every day, and when they do them well and they're consistent, their paychecks grow. Right. And we have certain things as a franchisee that we have to do as well. So I know what our responsibilities are, and they know theirs. And they know I will have your back, and I will fix that client. If they don't come back, that's okay.
Yep.
But I will tell you,
But you're going to try. You're going to try to come back. Yep.
And I don't think people realize that survey is coming directly to me. I think they think it's going up in a cloud to corporate office.
Yeah.
And
Some
again,
anonymous
when I
tip or
write
something.
back and say, hey, this is Heather, and I'm the owner, and I would like to fix this issue with you, they will write back and say, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe you just wrote to me and want to, fix this for me. And it goes a huge, long way.
Yeah.
And when they come back in, I'm like, thank you for
giving us another opportunity at this.
And people want to know they're spending dollars with us. And there's not a ton of businesses nowadays. Everything is such instant gratification, do it yourself.
Sure.
There's not in the service, besides restaurants or haircuts, there's not many other locations where you get that opportunity to really appreciate
make things
client.
right and build a lasting relationship. One of the things that I've been huge on for as long as I can remember is corporate culture. And it's not just the culture of the way that you interact with your employees, but it's also the culture that you exude to other people type of thing. And it means so much to people. I mean, God knows I've made a ton of mistakes in my life, and in different careers and jobs that I've had, I mean, I've said things that I shouldn't. We all have. That's just the reality of it. And I've always tried to make those things right. I think that an up and coming business owner, one of the biggest mistakes they can make, though, and it's kind of a natural mistake a lot of times, is to cower behind an independent circumstance. And so let's say, I don't know, I come to get waxed or something like that, and I leave a bad review. Oh, this was painful, and you never reach back out to me. Well, you've definitely lost my business forever, Whereas if you reach back out, at least you have another opportunity to regain that trust. One of the things I learned in grad school, I have no idea if this is true or not, but I believe it. It's true. It's true enough. But they say that for every person that has a good experience in a place, they'll tell one person. For every person that has a bad experience at a place, they'll tell 10 people. So a bad experience is like the cancer that can kill your business type of thing. So it's really important to.
It is. And my girls, it's funny.
It's believable, right? That quote is believable.
God, yeah. Absolutely. And I, I'll have a girl come up and say, I think that lady wasn't really, really happy. I think like you might want to reach out, and I will. I'll say,
Yeah.
okay, what happened? Let me be proactive, and I will call someone and say, hey, I feel like you weren't super, super happy when you left. There's something that was wrong. Oh, it took longer than I thought.
Yeah.
And I'll say, okay, that is because
Right.
we are
Thorough, yeah.
we're very thorough. We wax in smaller areas. It takes a little bit longer. So if you're used to going in somewhere for 15 minutes and our service is 30, that's why.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know if she was slow. I'm like, no, we are just very thorough, and these girls are not under a time crunch to get in and get out.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to make it more relaxed. So sometimes it's just people don't know the difference because they've been
Absolutely.
used to a certain way.
Certain speed waxers.
Speed waxing. They've been used to speed waxing, and so they come with us
That's
and
right.
they get to relax and unwind.
Yeah.
And I will tell you the funniest thing that's happened is
Oh,
people
God.
coming in after.
Wait.
COVID.
Is this going to be something that's like PG-13? Because
No, Reece, we're not going there. We're going to keep it.
All right. I had to check. Okay, all right. So what's the funniest thing?
The funniest thing that happened
Okay.
is the minute when so when we had to close for COVID, obviously
Yeah.
the writing started coming on the wall, and we closed before the state made us close because my girls started to feel like, okay, we're not. And I said, listen, if you guys aren't comfortable, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I closed on a Sunday, and the state mandated Wednesday. So then, of course, I'm waiting for the state to tell us when we can reopen. So we
Yeah.
could reopen that 22nd at night at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So you better believe the 22nd at 5 o'clock, I was open.
Yeah.
And I only had one girl that night.
Yeah.
And people were literally lining up outside the door.
Wow.
And I was like, this is crazy. And they were coming in saying, like, girl, I haven't been alone in 9 weeks without my 2-year-old.
Oh, God.
This is the first 20 minutes I've had by myself. I'm like, do you want to, like, rent the back room?
Yeah.
Like,
Did
sleep
you
overnight,
just calm down back there?
Yeah,
or
and then I had
something?
this particular client who booked like one service this week, and then she'll come back in 2 weeks for another service. And I said, hey, you can like get that all done at once. She's like, girl, any excuse to leave the house.
I know I can't see you in 2 weeks.
And I mean, people would come in and say, like, I'd wear a hazmat suit if I had to. We were really blessed. I mean, we were really, really busy. I had to hire 2 new girls to keep up. And but back to your culture, I wanted to tell you this. One of the things I love about Waxing the City is they do continuing education and development with us and training.
Wow, that's tremendous. That's another resource. It's a franchise.
It's another resource.
Yeah.
So, like when we go to our conferences and our workshops at the office, and we have to go sit in workshops, they'll give us that information, that research, and say 90% of people, even if there's a bad review online, when the owner answers that review, they're like, hey, I think I might try that out.
Yeah.
You have to look at the research and say,
Yep.
I'm very always interested in why do people buy? Why do people do business with certain people? What makes people make that decision that I'm going to spend money with you?
Yeah.
Right? And so when they give us these opportunities of learning, it's like, okay, so go online, keep up with your reviews, answer them as an owner, do the right thing because it will benefit you. You cannot ignore that.
Right.
You cannot just say, oh, she was difficult
Yeah,
anyway.
she's just being a bitch.
She
or
might
whatever.
have been difficult, but that could be a long-term client for us. It's not
Definitely.
that one-time visit.
Yep.
Guess what? Hair grows every month. Mm-hmm. This isn't buying a car that you might come back in 10 years. This is, hey, we have the opportunity to see this client every single month.
Yeah.
For the rest of their life, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? So let's make it right.
I have a great story about that. So I have a very good friend. You know that I used to own 2
Is he
nutrition
really
shops.
hairy? Is
So
that where we're going now?
I'm going to send him your way. So I have this really good friend, and the first time I met him, he came into the store, and straight up, he was an asshole.
Yep.
I mean, he was having a really bad day. Everything, he was really short, just really, and he wasn't used to that level of customer service that I commit myself to, just being an asshole. And I was very honest with him. I was like, look, man, I'm not gonna BS you. Like, I'm not gonna try to tell you something that, I'm not gonna try to sell you a hot product or whatever,
Right.
Industry stuff.
Yep.
And he was having a bad day, and just because I took the opportunity to take that, off his plate type of thing. He's been a lifelong friend. He's been a good friend of mine for years now.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how giving people an opportunity and maybe even trying to cheer them up, trying to give them at least an opportunity to have a good day. That's something that's so huge. One of the things that you just said too, where, if maybe a girl comes back and they're like, it seems like she wasn't too happy with it, maybe you should reach her out. Yeah. You have successfully, so I'm applauding you here, you have successfully created a climate of trust with your employees. That's what I would call it from a corporate culture standpoint. And that is so important. It's so important that your employees have enough trust in you that you have their back, that they can come to you with that stuff. Because otherwise, how would you know? How would you know?
And they come to me with everything. I'm just I'm like the mom of the studio, and they know that.
Studio
I want
mom.
to take care of them so they can do a good job at what they do. And and they come to me with everything, and I really try to be a good resource for them. I feel like I'm a constant cheerleader.
Yep.
But it is It's not a one time a day. It is consistently through the day. I mean, it is always, I'm like, are they okay? Are you all right? Are things going okay? Do you need a day off? And one of the things that I really, and they know this, is the work-life balance.
Yeah.
You know, they come to me every day and say, can I have this day off and change my hour? I'm like, okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
you know, there's probably
work.
times I'm a little bit too nice and flexible, but when I work with them on their schedule, and if someone wants to leave an hour early because they've had a packed day, and me saying, okay, you did a great job today, that's fine. They're like, oh, I feel like they feel very comfortable coming to me.
Yeah.
And it's important because I want a long-term relationship with these girls. I don't want turnover.
Right.
I do not want turnover.
Turnover's a business killer.
It is. And it's costly. We invest a lot of money in these girls. They have to go through a specialized training.
Yeah.
It used to be in Minnesota where they had to go for a full week.
Wow.
Now we're doing it in-house because of COVID. But it's a big investment to bring someone in, start to build a clientele,
Sure.
have all these people who love them, and then say, oh, well, she's not here anymore.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. It's bad for business.
Yep.
And so I work hard to make sure they're happy and that their clients are happy. And it's
Flexibility is tough, you know. It's one of those things from a business ownership standpoint. It's like you give and take, you push and pull, and everything ebbs and flows. An example in my life, we have a outside sales rep, and he's actually been working for me for years. He actually came from NutriShop with me, and he's actually probably going to listen to this podcast. So screw you, Austin. But anyway, so he always listens to him.
You should be working, Austin.
Yeah, Austin, get back to work. So anyway, he has one of the greatest work ethics of any human being that I know. I mean, he'll work sun up to sundown every single day. And I mean, he was grinding the candle at both ends, you know? And I mean, he was working every single day, weekends included. And he came to us and he said, hey man, I need a day off. And you know what I said? I said, I know you do. I was waiting for you to talk to me about this. I never said you had to work on weekends, dude. And he's like, well, you know, I make money on weekends. And I was like, well, I mean, do you? I mean, but it's one of those things where, you have to give and take with flexibility. And when somebody's coming to you with that, you never know what's going on unless you ask. But it's one of those things from a business ownership standpoint, from a business management standpoint, you have to make those decisions independently. Right. If you read a book, you know, it might say, no, you know, make sure that your employees work 9 to 5 every day or whatever. But I think that we're entering, and especially through COVID, entering this new era of business management where it's not as important to work 9 to 5 as it is to get the job done, type of thing.
Right. And in any job, you know, all of my girls have a story. Once you really get to know people, I like to know what makes them tick. Are you motivated by me telling you, oh my God, you did a great job today? Or is it like, hey, you know, I'd rather win a gift card and get double my commission? Or is it, you know, so I try to figure out what makes them tick. And then I try to find that balance for them, because you know what, when people are happy, they perform better.
Absolutely.
So if they're overworked or stressed, or they can't go visit their boyfriend on the weekend because I said no, it translates into that room. Yeah. I mean, we're in a very unique situation because whatever goes on in their life, they are working one-on-one with people. I, you know, really try to make sure it'll bleed through. It will 100% bleed through. Of the time. It will bleed through, and I want them to be like, I love coming to work here, and then they wrap it up, go home, live their life, and if they have a side hobby that they do, I want them to do that. Yeah. I don't want them to be a slave to wax in the city where they're like, oh yeah, I work 50 hours a week and don't do anything. Like, no, I want you to go
always
home
hate to hear that story when people are like, oh, I worked 50 hours last week. I'm so tired and exhausted and stuff. And it's like, well, you're obviously not very happy where you are. Yeah. Beyond that, I mean, you know, when it comes to your employees and managing them and things like that, one of my best business mentors, he said something I've never forgotten, and it just always sticks with me. It's like a part of my bloodstream, my conviction now. He said, try to find something that motivates your employees that's not money. Right. And because money, I mean, you know, do you want more money? Yes. Everybody wants more money, no matter what. Okay, let's get that out of the way. But maybe something like, you know, something as simple as like a nice shirt that you wouldn't buy for yourself, and then there's an extra step to this. So if you can find something that they might secretly want, but it's something that they wouldn't buy for themselves, you've gotten a winner on that. Those are some of the best ways that you can incentivize your employees. Back in many other eras, I did engraved gym bags one time, and that was something where
Reece, what have you not done? I feel like I'm like
yes, speak for yourself. You and I have both had a bunch of different careers. So I did engraved gym bags, and I did AirPods one time. Things that they
you really, made AirPods?
Yeah, I made them out of thin air. No.
Wow.
I bought AirPods.
You need to step it up.
Yeah. No. Do I look like a scientist to you? I couldn't do that.
Well, you just said you had a biology.
Yeah. Well,
background.
yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
there's
all right,
that.
All right,
and
all
there's
right,
that.
all right.
Yeah.
So no, but so it's something that they wanted, but they didn't want to buy for themselves because that price point. And so it was one of those things where what means more to you, $200 or AirPods, you know?
Or time off.
Yeah, or time off, right.
And that's actually interesting because I have my girls fill out a questionnaire before they start with me. And I say, these are questions because I want to get to know you. And one of the questions on there is, what motivates you most? Show me the money.
Yeah.
A day off, you know, accolades, you know. So I try to figure out what makes them tick.
Do most of them, just out of curiosity, do most of them select money or is it all
I
over?
let them pick multiple choices. So money, only like one or two will not pick money, and they'll say, telling me I've done a great job, the satisfaction of knowing I've done a great job.
Wow.
So it's a good blend.
Yeah.
And they do. They like to hear someone saying, girl, that lady was really happy. She loved you. And I probably say that 20 times a day.
Yeah.
I'm like, she loved you. Like, oh, I loved her too. Like, how many people say that about their clients, right? Oh, I loved her too.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Very interesting cultural paradigm with that. So, really interesting business. I just have one more question for you for your business perspective or whatever. One of the things that I love about having you here is that you have perhaps one of the most unique businesses that we've had on the show at all, in the fact that you're dealing with pain, right? And so, I think about like a tattoo parlor is the only thing I can really compare it to, but the process of getting waxed isn't necessarily an enjoyable experience. I mean, there's a little pain factor to it. Having had it done myself, I can tell you it doesn't hurt that bad. But needless to say, there's definitely a fear that people have before they approach. So what types of things do you do outside of making them comfortable in the office? But maybe even before they get there, what types of things do you do in order to overcome that stigma or that fear? Or
so part of it, I think, is Waxing the City has done an amazing job with their marketing and communication. So we call it the smoothest, most comfortable wax ever. So if you go on our website, it's going to talk about our wax is a very soothing and healing wax, and it lifts the hair and not the skin. And and people will know what hard wax means versus soft. We have two different kinds of wax. So our wax is much different, and then our technique is much different. So if people take the time to look at the website, they're going to read about that. When they book an appointment, they're going to get, 3 things to do before you come in. They're going to get instructions after they leave. No sweating, no spandex. Okay, Reece? No spandex for 24 hours.
Hey, well, I guess I can't come in the weekends. Got to fight crime.
So it's educating. It's really educating. So we try to do a good job of that. In our marketing, we try to do a good job of that before people come in the studio, and then we are really big about educating the client in the room. So in that room, they're not just talking about like Isabel and her hedgehog. They're talking about, hey, I'm having a little bit of trouble with this hair here. I really need you to exfoliate. Exfoliating is going to remove those dead skin cells, so when we go to pull the hair, it comes out easier. So in that room, they are constantly educating. And then the client comes out and says, hey, what did I need to exfoliate? What do I need to make my wax different? So it's education. It's a service, and it's a system, and it's education in the room, and then that all comes together where people feel like I'm really well taken care of.
Right.
People will say, like, I learned so much about hair.
Yeah.
And I kind of laugh. I'm like, this is like really fun.
Yeah.
They're learning something. They're having a good time. They're feeling warm and welcome. We're following up with them. We hope to see them again in 4 weeks. And even upon closing, as they're leaving the studio, my girls will say, I really want to see you in 4 weeks. And that's their, next appointment. And my front desk girl, works hard to get that next appointment. And it's just part of this bigger process. But again, the culture, you can teach it, but you got to have the right people within it to make it all work.
Yeah, they have to have the right personality archetypes.
Yeah, and the pain is not that bad because our wax is much different. So it's actually, it's not as painful as people would think because of our wax and our technique.
Yeah.
But it's very daunting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the fear factor of it, and getting through that type of stuff. Heather, I'm just so happy that you took the time to join me this morning. If somebody needs to get a wax, where do they go?
waxingthecity.com, and you can put in either Charlotte or Huntersville, and our store will come up, and you can book right online.
Perfect.
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
7 days a week we wax.
Very good. So I have one more question before we close out here. I always like to ask somebody something funny before we sign off. It's just my little thing. It's like, whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter.
Okay.
Your comment doesn't matter here.
No pressure.
It's meant to be funny. So I'm in a fantasy football league. Okay. And so the person that loses the fantasy football league,
okay.
You see where I'm going with this?
Okay.
So they have to do something, right?
Okay.
So it's called the Sacco punishment. So they have to do something, whatever. So what do you think's worse for a Sacco punishment? By the way, side note on this. So I'm in hang on, I got to tell you this part of the story. I'm in a fantasy football league with 10 people. Okay. 3 years in a row, Christian Webb has lost all three in a row.
This is perfect.
I swear to God, this is true.
Perfect. Okay.
And the thing that's even more embarrassing about that is that it's not like he didn't try. Like he tried 3 years in a row, lost 3 years in a row. I swear to God, this is true.
Oh, this poor guy.
Yeah. So what do you think's worse? What do you? Well, actually, let's just put it this way. What do you think is the worst type of wax that we could get Christian to do for a Sacco punishment?
From what I hear.
From what you hear.
From what I hear, the most painful for men is the chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So okay, follow up to that. Do you think that we should get him to get the winner's initials waxed?
I think so.
Into his chest hair? Or do you think we should make him like wax a full eyebrow off?
Oh, that would be like public humiliation.
True.
But it would be a really good story.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward the eyebrow.
Eyebrow?
Yeah. But wait,
Perfect.
now I will tell you, I cannot believe this. So my son actually did this in his fantasy football league.
Okay.
He had kids at his school.
Yeah.
He came home one day and said, Mom, me and my principal and my friends at school are in a fantasy football league, and the loser has to get a Brazilian.
Oh, God.
And I said, you actually had this conversation with your principal?
With your principal, yeah.
I was like, Bryce. And he said, yeah, and I think she might lose. I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God, this is not my child.
Yeah.
This has gone a little far.
Proud of our kids.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud that this was the punishment. So I'm glad that you're going to carry the history of this.
Oh, for sure.
For Sacco.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Heather, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. And come on in whenever you want. We'll complimentary back wax.
All righty, let's do it. All right, see you soon.